Hi, my name is Robert Shelley with Shelley Law, and my law firm assists nurse practitioners with employment contract and independent contractor agreement issues. Today, I'm going to talk about how to negotiate a salary as an FNP. So, let's say this is your first position. You finally went through school, the didactic and clinical sections. You've been licensed by the state. And you're ready to go. So you have your first employment contract and kind of what are the best practices in attempting to negotiate the agreement. Well, the first thing to identify is what type of agreement it is. Is it an employment agreement, or are you going to work as an independent contractor? Because that's going to dictate, I guess, some of the advice that I would provide. I think you have a little more flexibility to ask for things as an independent contractor. And then on the employment side, where you're working is going to be important. If you're working for maybe a physician-owned practice as an NP, perhaps you're in a state where NPs are autonomous and you're working for another NP, that's different than if you're going to work for a big hospital network. The terms that you can negotiate when it's private practice are much greater than the terms that you can get amended when you're working for a big hospital network. In my experience, many of those big hospital networks or hospitals will just simply state it's a take it or leave it type thing. There's just not a lot of room for negotiation. Whereas if you're working in private practice for a physician or another NP, you have much more leeway in negotiating what you want. And so, I guess, the first thing when you're looking into the actual terms of the agreement is you need to identify what's most important to you. Is it the compensation? Is it the malpractice? Is it the benefits? Is it restrictive covenants? So the non-compete, the non-solicit. What matters to you the most? Because it changes from NP to NP. I'll have an NP that maybe grew up in an area, has family in the area, like absolutely cannot move after the contract ends. And so in that scenario, the non-compete is by far the most important thing that we negotiate. Where others care, say, well, if this job doesn't work out, I'm just going to move anyway. So I don't care about that at all. But I do care about maybe the productivity, compensation, and that could be through net collections or RVUs or encounters. There's a million ways of doing it. So first thing is identify what's most important to you. And then second, back it up with numbers. Now, if you're someone that's just out and this is your first position, you're not going to have any historical numbers that you can bring to the table. So really, your best option is to just get national data through maybe MGMA. There's other sources as well. And just see if what they're offering you is kind of an industry standard amount. Now, this will vary, obviously, if based upon, if you're doing different specialties as an MP, but here, as an FNP, there's a lot of good data. And so you're gonna know, all right, this is the average comp for somebody, and they break it up by geography. It's not state specific, but it's like the West, the East, Midwest, Southwest, that type of thing. So you can get decent data. I don't think this is like the holy grail of is it good or not. Every situation is different. And so maybe you get paid a little less, but your non-compete is much less restrictive. Or maybe the base salary is lower than others, but you have potential for a productivity bonus that far exceeds what a normal NP would make in a position. Or maybe the benefits are great. Health, vision, dental, life, retirement, disability. They pay for your malpractice, your CME requirements, your license, your DEA. It just depends. And so, if you're looking for like a holy grail of, okay, this is exactly what I need to make, I think it's short-sighted. And then you also need to think about what kind of environment you're working in. If you're just coming out and this is your first contract, you want to be in an environment where you can learn, where they're willing to educate you. You're going to have mentors. It's going to be like a supportive environment, because I've seen plenty of MPs who will come out and they're just kind of left on their own, especially if you're going into, like a primary care office where they're just like completely overwhelmed, and they're just going to throw you in the deep end and say, oh, we need you to see 35 patients a day. And then you're just not going to have a lot of oversight. That's tough, and that can really turn somebody off on wanting to continue as an NP, and you went through all the school and money to do it and certification, and then it's just like you're completely soured based upon how the experience was with your first job. So I guess in summary, figure out exactly what's important to you, prioritize that, look and get into as much data as you can to bring to the employer, and let them know ultimately whether it's a deal breaker or not. I mean, you don't have to accept a job, and if it is, the terms of it are so onerous that it could really affect your career negatively down the line, then you need to walk away and find something else. So anyway, if you have any questions about employment agreement, independent contractor agreement as an NP, feel free to contact my law firm at the phone number and website listed below. And I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks.